My name is Lane Cobb, as you know, and my passion really is to support women in knowing absolutely who they are and what they're capable of, and walking in those divine gifts without apology, without regret, just expressing themselves fully and living a life that is full out, fulfilling, doing exactly what it is that we were born to, with joy and freedom and passion, walking in your purpose. First of all, who has a story in here? First of all, let me just stop a minute and ask. Thank you so much. And if you didn't raise your hand, you gotta raise your hand. Because our stories, if you don't know, have healing power. And apparently you heard this morning. And you probably already knew this on some level. But how many times have we experienced something in our life that maybe we're not so proud of? It's part of our story, but it's not the part of our story that we tell. It's not the part of our story that we share, because perhaps it's something that we'd like to keep a little bit under the radar. We're not so proud of it. Something happened to us. Very rarely is it something that we actually did, something that we did, but it's more so something that happened to us, something was done to us, but we have some embarrassment about it. It's caused us some level of shame. This is a tragedy, because whatever we walk through becomes a part of us. It becomes something that we learn from. It's where our purpose is born. I'll tell you, for me, with the bullying, and this is, it really put me under when I was a child, and it was years of bullying. I could not understand it. So in a middle class, I grew up middle class, and my folks were professionals. And where I lived, in Tarrytown, New York, this Westchester, New York town, there was a separation. So the neighborhoods were separated. And there was a big General Motors plant, and General Motors were doing well down the hill, and that's where many of the African-American families lived. And my mother was a doctor, and my father was an engineer, and we did not live there. So when I went to school, and I had my light skin, and I had my straight hair, and I had my smart, and I was tall, so you just, when you stand out, and other African-American girls decided that this was not going to work for them, and I became the target. So as someone who's a gentle soul, I'm taught that everybody is everything, and I didn't get it. And nobody taught me how to fight, because I didn't grow up in that kind of environment. I didn't really think, so I understood. Of course, I believe there's something wrong with me, because otherwise, why would these girls be telling me that there was? Must have been, because they're all friends, right? So for years, I let this get into me, and children do this. I let this get into me, but I didn't tell my parents what was going on, because I was embarrassed about it, I was ashamed about it. I just figured there must be something wrong with me, and I was just going to somehow deal with that. For years, this happened. It was very silly, but I tell this story because to say, this is why I'm so passionate about helping teens in specific, teen girls, especially teen girls at risk, to actually know how gifted and special they are. To understand that whatever peer pressure is happening, whatever pressure from young men is happening, whatever relationships are not going well in their lives, that they have the power to live the life that they were meant to live, and to step out of that pattern and to step into their gifts. And so for women as well, the same thing. But I don't know that I would have had that passion or that gift to speak into the lives of people and have them actually see something different for themselves if I had not lived through that. And also if I had not been willing to share that. So when I turned 50, once again, I realized that there were still things that I had not dealt with that were sitting on my lap. And when you get to be 50, the Word of God starts talking very loudly. And saying, hurry up. Right? You know what I'm talking about? Hurry up. And I realized that part of my story was that I needed to share what I had lived through as a kid so that I could help deliver these girls. So I wrote a book. I wrote this book, which I have here today for sale if you're interested. Be Your Biggest Champion, a self-esteem guide for teen girls. And it was an did. Of course, I cried and I hollered and I carried on, but I kept writing it because I recognized that not only was it for them, it was for me to heal myself also. And that's why I started with this program to help women get their story out, tell your story. Because when you do that, you heal yourself and you heal the world. So I want to find out from some of you, right, how could you benefit from telling your story? And or who could benefit from hearing your story? Come on, ladies, now. Who could you heal just by telling your story? Now, you know that. You know this. You know it. I know you know it because I can hear your heart talking. Because did you know I have that gift? That I can hear you talking even when your lips aren't moving? Come on now. Who could benefit from you sharing your story with them? Every woman, yes? Because you hear the thread, right? We all have that little piece that we're not so proud of that we don't want to take the lid off. What would happen if you took the lid off? Those mistakes, that's where your gifts come from, right? And they're not even mistakes. We just say they are. There were some choices that didn't serve us so well, but what do we learn from those? And how can we share our lessons? It's about sharing our lessons. That's what it's about. Gifts are honed in the pain. Just like the diamond is only a diamond